Hey, what's up guys? Tony here, and welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Tony. And this episode, we're going to be tackling the topic of depression. So with most of my topics, I try to have some sort of experience with these, and I think it's only fair and it would only do you justice if I'm going to be talking about something that I know about or have some life experience in. It just wouldn't seem fair if I was just rambling endlessly about something that I have absolutely no idea about. You know, it just wouldn't be fair for you guys listening, especially if I'm trying to impart some sort of advice like I'm going to try to do in this commentary. And it's just not fair for me because it just makes me look like a douche because I don't know what I'm talking about. But before I get started on the actual topic of depression, what I want to do is I'm going to have to preface this commentary by letting you guys know 2 days ago, it was a very dark anniversary for my family. It's been 6 years since my grandfather had passed away from cancer. And so, you know, it's kind of funny because a lot of people say that a day doesn't go by that they don't think about their loved one who passed away. And I would say for the most part, that's pretty true. Maybe not always on the forefront of your mind, but somewhere in the back, you might see something that reminds you of him or her. And it gets you thinking. And so on Sunday, when I woke up, it was kind of funny because I didn't actually, you know, think about it. I wasn't really intellectualizing, oh yeah, today's the day, like I had in years past. And I guess that kind of goes to show you that after a while, the whole healing process does, you know, kind of complete itself. And the wound doesn't hurt as much as it used to. I mean, it still hurts, but not as much as it used to. And so when actually, up until Sunday, I didn't realize the 19th, you know, on Saturday the 19th, I was like, oh, no big deal. But then Sunday, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that my grandfather had passed away. You know, I found out on Sunday. I was actually out of town, but the weekend before that I had actually seen him, he was watching football of all things. And so I was really looking forward to watching football on Sunday. And it just was like, holy crap, today's the 20th and I'm watching football. And it was just like all those things, like all those pieces just kind of fell together. And so it got me thinking about just sort of reminiscing about my whole experience, how I dealt with, you know, death in the family. And I guess you could say I've been kind of fortunate. I haven't really had to deal with a lot of death in my life. But 3 people that I know from my childhood, you know, my grandfather, a friend, and my friend's father have all passed away. So I've had 3 people in my life pass away that I've actually known, but none of them, of course, have hit harder than my grandfather. And so I don't know if anyone out there is having any sort of having a hard time with depression or with loss or anything of that nature. And I'm going to try to do my best to impart just some advice, just some things that I did to get me beyond it. And I mean, really, if you start thinking about it, you know, there's this spectrum. And by the way, I'm not a psychologist, you know, I think that goes without saying. I don't have any sort of specialty. And so what I'm about to say is just from like an everyman standpoint, you know, the everyday person's position in sort of general knowledge about psychology. And I'm not even going to get that much into it, but I'm going to be talking more about myself. And if it is applicable to you, and I hope it helps, you know, then take it for what it's worth. You know, you can use whatever I'm about to give you, or you can completely ignore it, you know, and that's fine. But I figured, you know what, hey, look, I had this experience and maybe I could help out. So if you're looking at like the signs, that was the first thing, is because while I guess I never really thought of myself, and I guess I'm going to go back here just a little bit. I never really thought of myself like as depressed, as a depressed person, because I had this roommate when I was living in Santa Barbara, and he was like, oh, I'm depressed, and he took medication, and he used it like as an excuse for why he was a failure. And so I really looked down on him because he used it in sort of a pity way. You know, he wanted people to pity him because he was depressed, clinically diagnosed as depressed. And so I really avoided the D word. I didn't want to realize that I had a problem. But I had noticed that I was taking these photo classes, and they were really expensive, and I had failed these 2 classes, you know, back to back. So we're talking 12 weeks worth of classes. I put out like $6,000 for them both, or together. And I realized that I just wasn't motivated. I didn't want to get up. I didn't really have any motivation to get out and do anything. I didn't have motivation to do work. I didn't have motivation to do little things. Like I didn't eat very much. You know, I would take a shower, but if I took a shower, it would be like in the middle of the afternoon after waking up at like 10 or 11 o'clock, which is weird because I'm usually up about 8 or 9 o'clock. I hate getting up after 9. It just drives me nuts. And so I noticed all these little signs, you know, and I finally kind of came to terms with, oh yeah, I think I've got a problem here and I need to address it. So, I mean, if you're in that situation where you feel as if, you know, you wake up, you just feel sluggish, you don't really know what to do, you know, you take your time, you know, getting out of bed. I mean, this could be like normal everyday lazy stuff, but there's something about it. It's a pattern. It's a very hard pattern to break. I was going through that, and like I was going to say earlier, the depression sort of spans this spectrum, you know, really like clinically depressed is way on one end and just sort of like down in a rut, you know. That's kind of like, oh, I'm kind of in a rut right now. It's sort of a form of depression, you know. But here's what's weird is that I realized what was going on, and I actually sat down and I wrote out. I did a free write, basically. I was about to say I wrote out my feelings, but basically it's a free write. I sat down and I wrote out everything that I was thinking about. I basically talked to my grandfather, I talked to myself, I talked to friends, all in this letter, or this free write. I just started going, and it was very cathartic. It was nice to get those feelings out and put them on paper, and I was able to read them, and I eventually did share them with people, and the response I got was overwhelming, and it felt good. But really the thing that got me out of my depression was, I was coaching high school baseball at the time. And so I got out and I was able to do stuff that made me feel good. I was teaching kids how to play baseball. I was practicing. I was being physical. I was getting outside. I wasn't stuck inside. At first it was really a chore to go. I was just like, oh God, I don't want to go. You know, I just don't feel up to it. But when you start to get those reactions and the interactions with the kids and the feedback, you know, it's uplifting. And so I coached that whole season, the whole spring season. And my grandfather died in January, on January 20th. And so that you could only imagine, you know, like tryouts and, you know, the season would go on. And I would say by the summer, I was over it. You know, I called my parents. I said, yeah, I'm feeling really great. And I felt a little guilty about it because my parents, especially my mom, because it was my mom's father, were still mourning. It was very much still in sort of the grips of her own mourning period. And I was feeling great. And I said, it's the kids, it's the getting out, it's the doing stuff that really has gotten me to the point where I feel great. And I know I've had little minor depressions here and there, you know, just these little ruts that I've been in. And it's the same sort of situation for me. It's like, I got to get out. I got to go do stuff, and get out of the house and just sort of live life again. You know, recently, because I've been sick and all the things that have been going on with me and sort of my health the last 2-3 months or so, I've gotten into that. And like this winter break was very much like a depressed state. You know, I was inside a lot. I didn't go do anything. I just didn't feel like I was waking up late, and I realized that actually on Sunday as well, that like I got to do something. And thank God the school semester's here, because it's going to get me out of the house. It's going to get me thinking. It's going to get me doing stuff again, and it's going to be great. So basically, the advice that I can impart to you guys is, if you're feeling that you're in sort of a depressed state or any sort of rut in life, and you're just sort of secluded in your house, my advice, and what worked for me, and I hope it works for you, is to just get out and go do stuff. And the 30-day photo challenge that I've been doing, oh my God, that has been helping me out so much. Just getting me to think and do and be outside and, you know, away from my TV and PlayStation. And I love the people I hang out with on Skype and stuff. But after a while, you know, it's just like, God, I got to get out and do something, you know. Like you get into that rut, like I was saying, and it's a routine, and you just need the world. You know, we just got to go out and do the world, you know, just go have a good time away from this environment that is putting you in this depressed state. And that's what I'm getting at. You know, if you're in this place, Do what you can, be brave, even if it's small steps at a time. You know, maybe if you like photography, go out and take some pictures. You know, do a 30-day photo challenge or whatever. Just one photo a day, it's not too bad. Or just maybe go out for a walk, or you know, go talk to a friend that you don't usually talk to. You know, these small things, and they'll build up to bigger things, and eventually you'll feel great. So anyways, guys, I really hope this episode helped. It comes from a very personal place, and so thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.